Welcome to the Growth Unscripted Podcast. It's your host Devonnte. I'm here with the lovely Maiah. How you doing? How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, for those who don't know who you are, though, can you explain who you are and what you do?
Of course. So I am Maiah McKenzie. My artist name is Maiah McDan. I'm a vocalist, a singer, a songwriter. On the contrary, I am a preschool teacher, a yoga instructor, and a sound healer.
Preschool teacher, sound healer, and a yoga instructor?
That's right.
Oh my gosh. You just got a lot going on.
I do have a lot going on. I wear many hats.
I can tell. Pretty much almost everybody I've had on the show so far, they do like at least about 5 or 6 different things.
Right. Oh, and I forgot to add, I'm a mental health advocate as well.
You are?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a good episode. This is going to be good. Okay, so when you started, so I wanted to dive deep a little to this, right? So with all the hats you got going on, I want to start first of what got you even into doing music, though? That's one of the first things I want to know about. So what made you get into that?
Well, I feel like I kind of have like that cliche story that a lot of people have about starting singing when they're in church. So when I was in church, I was around 3 years old. I was in the choir all throughout elementary school. I was in my school's choir, middle school choir, high school. I was in audition choir. Even up until college, I was in choir. So music and singing has always been a part of my life. I remember at one point I just wanted like music to be in the background of my life, like a movie. I wanted to be aligned with music so much that I decided that it was in my heart's mission to create my own music, and that's what I do.
Okay, so when you started creating your own music, right? Mm-hmm. Was there anybody like along the way that kind of like, gave you like inspiration along the way to be like, you know what, this person motivates me to like want to start singing? Or was it like one of those spur in the moments, like you decided one day you just want to start singing?
So I always believed that I had a talent and a gift, and I always knew that I needed to use it, whether that was in church or in school or just singing randomly. I always knew I was supposed to use my gift and my voice. As far as like other artists, I'm really inspired by anybody who takes the chance on themselves and is vulnerable enough to express and use their talent or their gifts. So maybe like more specifically, I really love the singer Jhené Aiko. I love the singer Her. Who else? I love to listen to Erykah Badu. A lot of neo soul and R&B artists inspire me.
Okay, just so y'all know, Jhené Aiko was my ex. I just don't go around telling that, okay? But she knows me, okay? She knows me. I don't care what y'all say. She knows me.
She knows me too.
And she knows her too. So see, we got receipts. Thank you. Okay, so I love that though. I love that. So when you wanted to get into music, right, and these artists inspired you and everything, was there anything that like kind of like, I ain't gonna say trigger, but kind of like, I guess, pointed you in that direction? So like what I mean by that is like, from like, was there anything you would say that probably like went on in like your childhood growing up that kind of like made you want to find like an outlet in some way and from like a positive light?
Okay. Let's see. I feel like I turned to music a lot when like things felt rocky or heavy in my life. I always had like my headphones in. I can like remember like being kind of like bickered at by my parents or something, and my like intuition would be like, all right, let's just turn your music on and escape. So then I think that later on in my life, I wanted to be able to create something like that myself, where people would turn to my own music and listen to it as an escape or just kind of align with it. I make soul-led music, so everything that I write about and sing about comes straight from my heart. I don't like to do a lot of the trendy stuff. I like to be real and authentic about what I create. So, yeah.
I love that. What would you say is like probably like your favorite piece that you've done so far?
Oh, my favorite piece. Do I have to pick a favorite? I guess right now.
I mean, you can pick more than one.
My favorite right now would be the song titled Butterfly. And I really love that song because I feel like I wrote it about a very vulnerable moment in my life where I was struggling. And I think that we all have those moments where sometimes we wish we could fly away from the things that we are kind of dealt with in life or just escape. And so Butterfly is really about just going higher and elevating and not necessarily running away, but maybe just escaping like your daily routine and going higher. So. That's
Okay.
Butterfly.
So now we're about to dig a little deep now.
Okay.
So could you elaborate a little bit of like what were like, I guess some of the things that was going on in like those tough moments growing up that kind of like made you, at least led you to doing that piece? So like what was like some of the tough moments that you had to go through?
Okay. So I wouldn't even say it was a part of like my childhood, more so in my like early adulthood, like now in my 20s. So things that I was going through was like depression and social anxiety, generalized anxiety. And these were things that I wasn't comfortable with. I wasn't familiar with them, or I wasn't familiar with having them. I knew about them. I studied psychology when I was in school, but I never thought that it would be me going through all of the motions when it comes to your mental health. And so Butterfly really is a song that kind of digs deep into those moments where I wish I could have flown away from the loneliness or the heaviness or the grief that I was experiencing.
Okay. So during those moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you was in like that pressure stage, because honestly, we both know like depression is nothing to really play around with at all,
not
right?
at all.
I'm pretty sure. I feel like I'm pretty sure quite a few people, whether they want to admit it or not, definitely been through those stages in life where they've been
Right.
depressed and been like in those dark areas,
Right.
right? Was when you was going through that, was it just more so something just because of this life situations that kind of built upon to create that like space for you to think that way, or was it a mix between that and family? Like what was like what was like pretty much like the catalyst, and what kind of caused that shift?
So as I've been tapped into my healing era currently, and within the last couple of years, I've just noticed that it's been something that lingered from my childhood into my adulthood, and it just wasn't touched on. Like some of the things that I experienced or went through at the moment, they may have seemed like it was nothing. It was just, brush it off. But those things created the person that I chose to be in my adulthood. And so you kind of have like the past like lingering on your shoulder when you don't, what can I say? When you don't like, I'm sorry, I just lost my whole train of thought.
Good.
But when you don't notice it or become aware of what's going on, they can build up and kind of like take over. And I think that's what was happening. I also noticed things were getting even heavier when we were in a lockdown. So I believe that COVID really had an impact on my mental health, just like a lot of other people in the world. And that was the year before that happened. There was like a turning point where it felt like it's time to push your pride aside and go find help. Go find an outlet where you are able to express. Go find someone who you can confide in, who is a health professional. It felt like a shift because I have become aware that you can't carry all the heavy things on your own, that you need to find community or people who maybe have experienced the same things you have or are willing to help you through the things that you've experienced.
I can understand that, because even for me, like when I was in a relationship with my ex a while back, a couple of years ago, like we was in a spat area to where like she told me like I needed to go seek therapy, and like I was thinking honestly just because of just the whole negativity that we had going on really on both sides, and so like for the longest time I just kept putting off like going to therapy. I felt like I don't need the therapy, like
Right.
she needs it or something like that, right? But then like the year that we wasn't together, I decided to take upon myself to go seek therapy and find like my own answers about a lot of things.
Right.
And so, like doing that, it was definitely something for sure I had to get like out of, in terms of like the ego behind like being like, I don't need to be a therapist. I don't need to have a therapy. I don't need a therapist. I don't need somebody telling me my feelings.
Yeah.
But then the more and more like you start looking around, though, you start looking at life, and then I kind of had I had a slight flashback pretty much when I was younger and I was in school. I had a friend who actually ended up committing suicide because he didn't really have like the help, or had like the support system
Right.
for somebody like to be with him. And so like I realized like during that time, like I know I didn't want to end up like that. And it's very important that for people to actually be able to be surrounded by the ones who do love them, who do care about them. And then if you're in a bad, toxic environment, then find the people who are not toxic. And honestly, that means if you really like, a introvert, you might just have to come out of your shell a little bit and start, going out there to find those people,
Right.
or find a community online that you can at least talk to at the very least.
Right.
Yeah. So I definitely agree and definitely understand like, mental health, and especially having therapy is very important. So will you say that when you start doing therapy, do you start seeing like signs early on, like later on, like, seeing progress, being better, like how you like, operate in day-to-day life, how you see things, perceive things?
Yeah. So the first time I started therapy, it was like a telehealth situation where it was phone calls. So I believe that really helped me. I think I did that for maybe about 6 months or so. We were on lockdown, so going into a behavioral health facility wasn't really an option, but I was glad that I had the opportunity to talk to my therapist on the phone. I went into it with open arms. I took all of her advice, even the small things, like when you feel a certain way, go take a walk, go outside, get fresh air. Those are things that I still remember and do today. Then later on, when I was able to go into a behavioral health facility and start cognitive behavioral therapy in person, it was a different time in my life. And just like that ego that you were talking about, I had that moment where it was like, this person's not going to help me. How are you going to help me? You don't know what I've experienced. You don't know what I've been through. How can me talking to you fix what's going on with me? So at first I was like a little stagnant about it. Wasn't too sure. Our first couple of sessions were kind of quiet. I don't think I really opened up until maybe about the third or fourth session, but I progressively started to notice like a difference and a change in my own mental space, and just being able to like express myself without like worrying if this person was going to judge me on the other end. I really felt supported. So that was the cognitive behavioral part of it. Then we moved into something called EDMR. So it's, I think I'm going to butcher the name, but it's we're going to have to come back to the actual acronym, but it's basically, we tapped into like some childhood things, because a lot of the things that are going on with us, like the turmoil, the things that feel like broken, they start in our early childhood. When we're supposed to be children, there's a lot of adult things going on around us, and we kind of like take on the energy and we take on all of the things going on around us, and it affects us as we grow up. So in this specific therapy, we used sound, which I love, because knowing how I heal today, it kind of like makes sense why this was effective for me. But we used sound, and I had like a headset on, like that old school headset with your CD player back when we were kids, and my therapist would play like sounds in each ear and then ask me questions. So it brought up different memories and different things that happened in my childhood, in my teenage years, in my adulthood. It brought up memories, and it kind of helped me like dissect what I was going through, why I was going through it. But basically, it just brought back all of the things. And then we kind of reflected on them together. And so that was really helpful for me in my process.
I love that. I'm glad you was able to at least be able to see progress and also be able to get the help that you needed.
Right.
But the biggest thing though is like you was able, not just of course you was going through it, but also for you to like self-understand and understand what was going on.
Right.
Would you say that a lot of people, like part of the reasons why there's so many messed up relationships nowadays, where people don't know how to get into relationships or let alone try to learn how to parent, is probably due to trauma that they probably have that's not healed?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I believe that too. Because like when you think about it, right? When you have, this is start off with parenting. Like, of course, yes, there's no rule book in terms of how to raise parents, and of course, you already know I have a daughter, so like there's no rule book in terms of like how to raise a kid. But I feel like I'm at an age where like you can learn right from wrong now. But like I've seen parents like yell at their kids, and there's a difference between talking stern to your kid and then yelling. Because yelling, especially in the Black community, we yell and cuss our kids out like a dog. And honestly, seeing that, honestly, it pisses me off. Because due to my own upbringing, but also due to as well me having a little brother and seeing that myself firsthand, it's like people don't understand that we gotta stop trying to pass the trauma on to our kids. Because, like, if we're out here yelling at our kids and we're out here just thinking, scaring our kids in a way to, like, how to go through life. Like, when kids go out and about, some parents come from a place of fear when they talk. They're not coming from a place of having your child understand the situation at hand. And so you put them in a state of fear all the time, which parents usually be teaching from a state of survival.
Right.
I can't
survival mode. Yeah.
So like when they're teaching from a state of survival, how do you expect a kid to be able to go through life and actually live? At that point, they're not living; they're just surviving now, just as much as you are.
Yeah.
And of course, not everything is on the parent, but I would definitely say though it definitely starts in the household first.
Right. Oh yeah, I agree completely. Even being a school teacher, I have a lot of different families and students that I work with, and I agree that it does start at home. When students don't have a structure or a routine that's healthy, it displays in the classroom setting, and you can definitely tell who does have structure and who doesn't have structure, or which parents are continuing those cycles of, like you said, being in survival mode versus wanting to correct and teach their children. And if we don't break that, then it will be a repetitive cycle and we won't be able to heal our lineage, which I believe is really, really important. But the key to all of that is patience. And I think that's a skill that a lot of people lack, and they have to practice it. Because oftentimes we aren't even patient with our own selves, so
True.
We can't grace other people with patience. So that would be like one of the things that I would think needs to be worked on in our community is patience, and then unlearning so that we can learn in a new way and teach and grow in a different style.
So let me ask you this then. What would you say, if you had the power, what would you say, how would you want to retrain it or redirect it if you had the power?
So I'm not a parent myself, but I am a leader in a classroom. So for 7.5 hours a day, I have a class family. And so the different things that I do in my teaching style is I teach a lot of mindfulness and social emotional skills and cues. It's really important for people as a whole, our whole collective, to learn how to treat people with respect, treat others with kindness, be aware of other people's feelings, be aware of our own feelings and emotions, and then learning how to safely and healthily regulate. So we do a lot of different things in my classroom like breathing practices and calming our bodies down, and mindful movement like dancing and yoga. We do a lot of singing and songs because I believe music has the capability to heal as well. We have a designated cozy or calm corner so that my students feel safe. So that would be something that I would recommend everybody cultivating safe spaces, healing spaces for not only themselves, but their community.
I love that. There was actually, I saw a post like yesterday. I think it was some school in Baltimore or Maryland somewhere. What they did was they replaced detention for people, kids going to detention to meditation classes. And so when they started meditating, they started seeing kids start being more less and less resistant in things, and things started becoming more easier.
Yeah.
So like I agree with you, right? Like finding like that way to be able to have like that from a spiritual level. Because, yes, kids have the kid-like energy. The kids, they want to be curious. They want to wander around and everything. But, if you can find a way to calm that energy in a spiritual sense and find ways to tie things into where it still appears fun, but also, helpful for them at the same time, then you most definitely can, see progress happen, And so now going into, from a relationship perspective. So we both had partners, right? And people out there who had boyfriends and girlfriends. Like you have people who they begin in relationships with, and they're not even healed themselves,
Right?
Or they're not healed to the point to where they're able to carry on in a relationship. So I feel like in my personal view on it is that there is, for at least from a man's perspective, there is men get into relationships with women when they know they got so much messed up childhood trauma to where they continue on in their relationships with others and they become narcissistic, become appreciating, not being appreciative of the woman in their life and stuff, right? And the thing is when you talk about trauma, these are people don't believe this, but kids pay attention to stuff growing up.
Oh yeah.
They may not say it, but they pay attention.
Yeah.
And so
Everything.
Right. And so when they pay attention, think about it, right? Just like you have a favorite uncle or niece or whatever, right? You hear how they talk over time because they're your favorite or whatever. You start to pick up on their talking style, how they talk and everything.
Yeah.
It's the same thing too when it comes to behaviors. If a kid, if a boy see his mom getting disrespected by his father, right? He gonna think it's okay when he gets older to do the same thing. Granted, yes, you should know from right from wrong, but at the same time, some people we both know common sense ain't that common. So what you may hear and see may be different from what somebody else may hear and see.
Right. Right.
And so would you say though for sure trauma definitely plays a big issue of why people can't have healthy relationships nowadays? So that's at least part of the problem.
Yeah, so one thing that's sticking to me is being children and finding that childlike joy, and yes, all of the trauma from being a child and having to deal with the adults in our lives and all of their drama, because like you said, as a child you see everything, you notice everything, you pick up on social cues. But I think it's really important too to find that childlike energy and joy. I often refer to myself as the same little girl I knew in third grade, who was insecure but wanted friends, wanted to be playful with everyone. I still have that little girl in me today. So I really try to embrace that childlike energy and remember that everything doesn't have to be so serious. And that goes for relationships too. I think we've cultivated this really strict environment for how relationships need to go, and you want to control the person that you're with and vice versa. But if we're able to find a little bit of playfulness and that childlike joy and that safety, I think that we could heal our relationships versus tear each other down because we did something wrong, because that reverts back to being a child. And when we did something wrong, we were scolded for it. It brings back that trauma. It's triggering. So if we were able to tap into those feelings that we felt when we were younger, I think that maybe relationship could be easier if there weren't so many different stipulations and there was more embracing.
Okay, I love that. So, with that being said, would you say though, with everything with that, would you say that like a lot of people nowadays a lot of people forgot how to be a kid, especially when they become adults?
Oh yeah.
Would you believe that? Like a lot of people tend to forget how the sense of having like that kid-like behavior.
Yeah.
But have it in the sense of where like, not too annoying, but, just enough, right? But at the same time, have like that fun-loving spirit side. 'Cause everybody now is just so serious.
Yeah, a lot of us have like lost that sense of childlike joy and being playful. And we live in a fast-paced world. We have this kind of agenda over our head that we need to be in go mode all of the time, and that we need to get our to-do list done, and we've got to do this before 25, and we've got to do this before 30, and so on and so on. We have like a long list of things that it's just become so serious because it's so serious to everybody else, like in the media and on social networking. Everything seems to be so serious. There needs to be perfectionism. And we do like a lot of comparing. I've noticed even in the education system, for example, recess is taken away when you get to middle school, but you're still a child at 11 and 12 years old. So we kind of start getting our innocence stripped away from us at an early age. And so we've learned to adapt to these hard schedules and being in go mode and getting everything done. And I don't think a lot of people out there have allotted time to become playful or do things that are out of their normal routine or be adventurous, because a lot of people are still stuck on go, 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 do. I've got to get this completed. And it's time to like relinquish those boundaries and kind of let loose a little and allow that playfulness to happen.
How would you go about that? So let's say like I lost my inner child, right? Mm-hmm. And that's all I do, right? I just simply think of fast-paced life. I'm not really thinking nothing else. I'm on constant repeat. Yeah. So what would be some tips that you would suggest for people if they want to slowly start getting back into like that childlikeness?
Okay. My first idea would be to make time for yourself, whether that's sitting down and watching a movie, whether that's going for a late night drive, reading a book, meditating, finding a space where you can go within and tap back into that energy of being a kid. I think some of us have like maybe a favorite movie or something that we really enjoyed when we were kids. I would suggest tapping back into that energy and going to those places that used to bring you joy when you were a kid and sit in it. Sit there, notice how you feel, notice what sensations arrive in your body, and allow it to be brought up. You don't have to push it away. You don't have to go, oh, I'm an adult, I don't need to. Just allow yourself to be present in that moment. That would be my first kind of piece of advice to reconnect with your inner child, is to sit with it and come back to yourself.
Okay. I like that. Because, like, I'll be honest, like, with me, I mean, I do take the time to, like, go out, go for a walk and stuff like that when I can. And then also, as well, like you said, right, there's, like, have, like, just, like, that alone time with yourself. But I feel like, as well, that a lot of people is not rooted anymore. Like, they're just so stuck on the 2D and 3D space of life, but they're never trying to tap back into their 4D to where, like, you know, they're not just seeing what's in front of them, but it's actually, you know, being aware, like that self-awareness. Right? And when you're so stuck in just this, when you're so stuck in this 2D and 3D mindset, like, you just be so succumb and indoctrinated to what's in front of you all the time.
Right.
From what you eat to what you consume, like around you visually, to like even as well, like when you hear others talk. When you hear others talk, you start believing over time that that's how things are supposed to be a certain way, right? And so, like, especially in social media is like a big thing nowadays for why relationships don't really work anymore the way they used to. Not saying they don't. There's definitely good people out there, but I would say though, honestly, dating online, that's a hit and miss now, honestly. Okay. Even with my ex, we dated for 8 years. We met on Facebook dating. No, Tinder. We met on Tinder. And I thought that was going to last forever. Not saying it won't, right? Not saying that online dating is like just completely over with, but like people just not like, you know, conversating in person no more. And people are so stuck on their phones all the time. They don't know how to carry a conversation or have a stimulating conversation. You know, and I think that's another big thing is that people don't know how to effectively communicate or how to pick up on certain things to have those conversations with other people.
You're right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so,
In my world, online dating is dead.
Have you tried multiple times, or you've tried a few times?
Oh yeah, I've been on the apps, and in 2025 I do not like what's on the apps. I prefer meeting people in the real world, in the physical, and connecting with people, not by what their profile says, because anybody can make a resume look good. Anybody can make a profile look good, but if there's not like a genuine connection, a genuine exchange of like realness, that like raw energy. If I can't connect with you, then I just can't connect with you. And it's really hard to do that authentically through a screen, I found. And I will say, like, in the past, the relationships that I've been in that came from online dating, they were definitely a miss. So moving forward, I don't think I will be on a dating app anymore or any type of like online social media dating. I would much rather like find my person out in the wild.
That's understandable. That's understandable. Also, as well, some of y'all think y'all slick, because I've seen some dating profiles, and I've seen some women profiles, and they be using ChatGPT to just set up their profile.
Yeah, it's so fake.
Right, and I'm like, listen, okay, granted, it's okay to use it to help you set up your profile, your bio, if that's how you are, but if you are not like that in real life, let alone when I talk to you on the phone and you sound completely different the way your bio sounds, I'm like, y'all just lying. Like, why you gotta lie so much? Cause like people really be thinking they're slick.
Yeah.
Cause especially with word AI now, like you can, like for real, like you can set up, like you can have full blown conversations now with people through online dating. Like people would just take screenshots now of like when they're talking to somebody, and then they'll have the AI bot respond instead. Yeah, and then they just copy and paste it and paste it in there. And I was like, so you can't really have a conversation. That's basically what you're saying.
That's a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Come why you got to do this to yourself? If you, like, go pick up a book, go take some speech classes, something to, like, get yourself, you know, out there. But don't try to hide behind AI using it to try to have a conversation with somebody when you know you can't even really carry a conversation.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It is.
It's so sad. And that's part of the reason, that's another reason why people are not tapped in anymore like they used to.
Right.
Because now with everything going on now, people, honestly, in my personal opinion, people are just looking for a quick fuck. That's all it is. There's nothing being genuine about anything anymore. Mm-hmm. Everything now is a transaction now. Like, in order for you to do something for me, I got to do something for you. Nothing can't just be genuine anymore. And that's another thing. People live in a state of transaction now than they live in actually being nice and sincere to somebody. Yeah. There's always some underlying tone between that. So when you mix in that and mix in trauma, and then you mix in the point of that people just going off surface level things.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely hard to find somebody out here nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now this leads me to my next thing. What do you think about this? So the sound bowls you've been doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
For some people out there, some people don't really believe in frequencies or believe in sound is healing. What are you talking about? Could you explain a little bit more of what that is and what made you want to start getting into that?
Yeah, so earlier I was kind of touching base on how music is healing in my world. Just think about your favorite song that you like to listen to on a hard day. Or I think about those old music videos where the rain's pouring down on the window.
Oh, not the Usher, You Got It Bad.
Yeah, something like that. When you're really going through it, you turn your favorite song on. And I think it's really hard to deny that music will either put you in a really good mood or that it'll bring back a sad memory depending on what you're listening to. So the same comes with sound healing. It's more instrumental, of course. I use crystal alchemy bowls. I use a rain stick. I use chimes, and to me, everything is energy. And even us talking right now, there's a sound vibration that's creating a frequency and we're able to connect. So it's the same thing with me playing my instruments. There's a really good quote that I love that says, intention plus frequency is healing. Jonathan Goldman says that, and I really believe it. I like to move with intention in my life always. No matter what I'm doing, I like to be intentional. And then when you add the frequency in the equation, it can cultivate something healing. And that's what me producing music does. It's just another form of my art. So from me going from singing my own lyrics on an instrumental versus me playing my sound bowls in a different setting and vocal toning with my bowls, to me, they're both healing. I'm using my gifts and instruments that I've been provided, and I'm creating something with good intention. It's always about the intention. And I create something that a lot of people who have been my clients or have just been in the environment while I play or while I sing, they feel something from it. So when I play my bowls, they of course let off a sound frequency. Some people get a little tingly, some people get sleepy. Whatever you feel is personal to you and your experience. But it also has the option to bring up different things from your past, depending on if we're doing a guided meditation with it, depending on if it's just silence, it has the potential to bring up something. And sometimes it doesn't come up until later after your session, or it can come up during your session. But what I always tell anybody who's in a session with me is to always choose to be present. Everything is an invitation. And so you just allow your body to do what your body needs to do in that moment.
So what I'm hearing is I'm going to get a free session, right?
I mean, yeah, you definitely could.
Because, I never had one before.
You invited me on the podcast, so there's
I
another
think it's
exchange.
only fair, right?
Or is that transactional thing you were talking about?
Well, listen, okay. First of all right, it's a helpful type of transaction though.
Okay.
It's not like a underlying tone bad type of transaction.
So the intention?
Very intentional.
Okay.
It's very intentional. I'm just saying it's very intentional. Okay, so I love that. I love that you actually got deep into that. So with that being said, what is for when you carry the frequencies and stuff, right? Have you ever had a session with somebody or did a session to where somebody just started, I guess you say started flat out crying just because they just because the tone this calls or triggered something within them?
Yes.
At all?
So honestly, I should have brought my sound bowls and played a little something. But so all of my sessions are sacred spaces. I always cultivate sacred, safe spaces for people to be. But I can talk about my experience a little bit in a sound healing session. So when I went to training, I went over to Rancho Palos Verdes in California on a solo trip. It was actually right after a procedure that I had done. So I was also on a very specific healing journey, but I was also on a soul-led divine assignment to become a certified sound healer. So I went to this beautiful church right by the sea, and my lovely mentor and professor, Geraldine Glass, performed this beautiful sound bath for all of the attendees. And I just remember laying on the floor. I think we had like yoga mats out or something like that. And it was at the end of a long day. We had done a lot of learning and, cultivating new connections with people from all over the world. And she started playing the bowls, and we had done a little bit of soul work before then, but I just remember like just being present and allowing my body to feel whatever needed to come up, whatever sensation, because I knew I was in a safe, sacred space. And so I felt safe enough to release. And yeah, I ended up like just kind of like bawling. And I think maybe some family memories came up in that moment, if I can remember. But it wasn't necessarily a moment of like sadness or, something that was like deeply upsetting. It was more so like feeling gratitude that I was able to not only like feel the presence of like my ancestors and the people who came before me, but I was able to like feel supported by like the community that I was in, the ground that was holding me up. I just felt really supported in that moment, especially being on my first solo trip, thousands of miles away from Virginia. I really felt held in that moment. And I know for certain that it had to do with the intentions being put out in the room and the sound frequency that she was giving off by playing the instruments. And that cultivated a space for me to heal. So that was a very beautiful experience.
I love that. Do you have a really good time in LA? Was there?
Yeah, so I didn't get to explore LA as much as I wanted to. I flew in on maybe a Thursday, I think, and I went to West LA, and I stopped at In-N-Out because I had never been to In-N-Out, but I don't eat red meat, so I ended up just getting some like fries, I think, with like some crazy sauce. I don't know if that's
Crazy
the right
sauce.
thing. Maybe that's what it's called.
I'm kind of scared to find what's in that crazy sauce. Did it make you crazy? Like, was you running around like, screaming at people and all that?
No.
Okay,
And then I got like a milkshake, so something like, regular. And then I went to Shiloh's Tea House in West LA, and that was a beautiful, beautiful experience. So I mentioned earlier that I've struggled with social anxiety before in the past. And so I actually went to an eye gazing event. And so I was in a room with a bunch of strangers. I had never met these people ever before in my life. And the facilitator of the workshop prompted us to sit in front of someone that we didn't know. Nobody knew each other. And we kind of like rotated from person to person. There was like an outside circle and an inside circle. So everybody on the outside kind of like rotated, and we got a new partner for every prompt. And so we were prompted to look at the person that was in front of us, right in their eyes. And for somebody who has social anxiety, that's terrifying. You don't want to have to look at anybody ever. But in that moment, I felt really empowered that I was able to sit across a complete stranger, look into their eyes, and almost see a reflection, like as if there was a mirror in front of me. And it kind of made this boundary like dissolve of like the worry and the fear of somebody maybe like judging you for being who you are, or this idea that they know something. Like all of that worry just kind of went out of the window, and I was able to be a human having a human experience, and that felt really good. And it's something that I remember to this day. among talking to other people that were really just a mirror. And so that was a really, really cool experience in West LA. That was the only experience that I had in LA because I went more south to the coast, like the beachy area of Rancho Palos Verdes. So
it's funny you say that, right? When you say like everybody, like everybody just like a mirror,
Yeah.
you know, because at the end of the day, right? Like, you know, I'm human, you're human. Like, only difference that how we probably put on our pants, and honestly, other than that, it's probably like what we probably eat or whatever, right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, though, we're all humans, right? Which also means we all have feelings, we all have things we go through,
Yeah.
right? But it would be great if there was a world where everybody was just nice and appreciative of each other,
Oh, yeah.
instead of, you know, anger, animosity, jealousy, you know, and then envy. Like, you know, instead of getting mad at people, why not just simply, you know, like get to understand the person from their point of view of why they're feeling or acting a certain way,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Because we've seen it, right? Especially people road rage.
Oh.
Like, you don't know what day that person can be having,
This is
but
true.
you try to go ahead and piss that person off, and the next thing you know, you wonder why he brought out a crowbar and started banging and busting out your doors and windows.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what might have happened.
You
Yes,
don't
granted,
know.
you may have an anger problem. Who knows?
But
it
you never know. Yeah.
Right. But it's just that, you know, you tend to, you know, we just tend to jump to conclusions as human beings.
Right.
Instead of just actually get a chance to actually sit down and understand everybody's point of view of why they act or talk or do anything a certain way.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So this is a little bit left field right here. But for people, do you feel like there's people who are suffering mental health issues, like in terms of not just from depression, but just, you know, just like some people may call it crazy, but like, you know, like those like left field type thoughts.
Okay.
Like, you know, randomly, like we seen, like, you know, people have mass shootings that happen.
Okay.
You have people who just decides to, you know, just walk into a grocery store and then decides to like just go AWOL, like
Yeah.
those type of people. Because people feel like, because some people, you know, when they see it on the news, and of course, you know, media only gives you one side of a story, really.
Okay.
Right? Like, do you feel like that? Do you just feel like it's actually like a mental, like an actual mental health issue? Because people be saying like they suffer from mental issues,
Yeah.
right? But I feel like it's something a little bit deeper than that.
Okay.
To where like not just from probably a mental health issue. Some people, they can have like no bad record of what they did ever in their life, but then they do something like that, and then
Yeah.
right, and it makes you sit back and wonder like, wow, like what led this person to do something like this, you know? Because we talk about spirituality and stuff like that quite a bit, right? And on top of like, you know, like the mental health issue, I just think too is also could be a spiritual warfare that's going on. Because, you know, you have people too talk about like, you know, they said Satan made them do it and all this type of stuff. And I just feel like it's more of a, for me at least, I feel like it's more of a spiritual warfare of figuring out maybe a self-identity crisis in a sense, but also could be that it could be a slew of other things that you have going on. It'd be just like, for example, I'm not sure you ever seen the movie on Netflix called Straw with Taraji P. Henson. And you saw like, you know that was based off of a true story of a man. Where like, you know, when she started off the day, you know, she had a kid. And sorry, y'all, just spoilers. Y'all didn't watch it. Y'all better pause and watch it before you come back. But, you know, started with a kid, her daughter and everything, got her ready for school. You know, she was behind on her rent. Her daughter needed meds. She then goes to the store. The manager is like, treated her like a piece of crap.
All she wanted was her $500.
That's her $500. All for $500. And then when she goes to the bank says she can't come in yet. And then she goes to try to get the she went back home to get the medicine or something she got a call from her school, from her daughter's school.
To get her lunch money.
Right. And so then she gets into the accident with the dude, this officer, and then every single thing just kept leading to something more and more and more.
She had a really bad day.
You would never think somebody could have a bad day like that back to back to back to back.
But some people do have bad days like that quite often. That's like the reality that some people live in. And It is disheartening, but like reverting back to being intentional, and thinking about the people who choose to go out and do harmful things. They choose things with intention, so they may have not meant for it to be a bad thing, but the intention ended up not being good when they chose to like go shoot up a school or something like that. But I also agree with you with the spiritual warfare there. In my world, there is good and there's bad. There are people who choose to inherently do good things, but there are also people who don't really believe in consequences. They don't really think before they act. Therefore, they're okay with doing things with bad intentions, malintentions that may end up hurting other people. One of the things that I always wished for when I was a kid was world peace and living in the world today. I don't know if that's fully attainable because we have people who want things to go one way, and we have people who want things to go another way. There's really like a split view on the world today. That's why there's just so much chaos and turmoil. But I do believe that there are a lot of things going on with people mentally. There are a lot of things that are going on with people spiritually that they haven't been able to confess or really deep dive in. Just like we were talking about that ego earlier. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people live in delusion and they want to choose to believe that everything is going okay, when in reality, they're at the bank and they can't get their $500, so they go shoot the store manager like in straw. Like there's so many things that people go through that we don't always see on a surface level. So it's important to be cognizant of that everybody's not living the same experience that you are living. And when we cultivate this idea to understand people better and realize that it's not just us living here, that we live in a collective, we live in a community, and we reach out to people and help other people and do our part, we really probably won't achieve that world peace that my inner child so deeply craves. But I know for me personally, when I choose to do things with good intention, I cultivate my own peace. And that's what's really important to me. And so now in this state of my life now, this current season, when I choose to do things with good intention and I choose my own inner peace, it kind of like unwinds and expounds onto other people so that they're able to like have a little bit of peace or a little bit of good because of the way that I choose to be. And I always choose to be an intentional person.
I love that. I believe in there is an ability to have world peace. There's an ability, but like you said, right, the biggest thing is having everybody be on one accord. Right. And that's something that's extremely hard to do, especially people in the Black community, because there's so much jealousy, there's so much, people feel like they got to do better than everybody else and all that stuff. Yeah. And honestly, it's a fear-mongering mindset. Like, it's a mindset to where, like, how do you expect to get to the next, how do you expect to actually be able to live and enjoy life when you have your neighbor who's literally plotting against you because they don't like to see your success? Right. Ooh, like, that's real. Yeah. That's real. And it's like, how do you, like, if you want something to happen, everybody, like I said, got to be understanding of each other, be on one accord. Yeah. But you're never going to get that in this society, unfortunately. Like, something dire has to happen. Like, I tell people all this time, like, the government, their biggest thing they're scared of is unity. When everybody's under one accord and on one note and one page. And if you're not going to be able to put forth the effort for that, that's why you have people who move out the country who decide to live somewhere else. And honestly, I don't blame them, because I've thought about it plenty of times. Because as much as I would want to see that happen, and I'm willing to put in the work and put in the effort to make that happen. Right. But also as well, it can't just be 1, 2, 10, 20, 50, 100, 200 people. Right. Like, it's going to take an entire nation in order for you to start seeing something like that. Because we get fed false information. That's for one. Those false information gets then doctrinated into our minds when we get older, which then makes us believe we have this false sense of what we're supposed to believe something is when it really isn't. And then you have people who they call radicals, or call like the ones who, like the aluminum foil heads. They feel like they're the crazy ones instead. And then now it's a back and forth thing. Yeah. And when you have the two people back and forth bickering, you have the people at the top who's just laughing at you like, wow, like y'all really can't really like understand what's really going on around y'all. We did a great job. Like from a business level, it's a smart ass business level. Evil as shit, but it's smart as hell. You keep people separated to where they can never really come together. You have them bicker and fight over the most smallest, most stupidest little things in the hindsight of things, and then don't expect them to actually come together. Like people gotta understand that there's so much hate in this world. And people hating over the most dumbest things at times. Like, I don't blame people who want to move out of the country. I don't. And plus, honestly, too, especially the way this economy is, you get a lot of things cheaper over there too. Like in Japan, you can get a apartment you see in downtown Richmond. You get one in Japan probably for like $500, $600.
Wow.
And then food, you only paying probably $45 for a full meal compared to we spend $30 to $40 on one here. Right. Like it's getting so bad now that we can't expect you can't expect everyone to fully get on the same page. And at the same time I can't blame them because they got stuff that's put in front of them to keep them distracted. And so when you had a distraction that's put in front of you from bills due, car note due, you got a traffic ticket, you got to go pick your child up from school. We have so many different distractions keeping us distracted we can never focus on the full picture of what we're really supposed to be doing, and especially when we're supposed to be moving in our purpose.
Yeah. I feel that last line for sure. What I've been praying and meditating on for the last year or two now is purpose, passion, and power. And I feel like the work that I do in the world aligns with those three things. And it's important to continue to elevate and move forward and rise above it all, even if there's a lot of chaotic things going on in the world. Keeping in mind that maybe we won't be able to achieve a world where we are all on one accord, but when you choose specific communities or choose specific people who align with your values, align with your mindset, then you create this own peace, and everything that worried you kind of fades in the background of your life, and you do realize that there is this peace that's attainable, but it's in your own little world that you created with like-minded individuals. Just how you said there's like a group of people who are like laughing at how much division there is in the world, but there's also this collective of people who have kind of like shifted from all of the noise and the distractions, and they see the bigger picture. And so they rise to that vision. And I think that's what's really beautiful, that even though there's all of this chisme and chatter and gossip and all of these things that try to pull us away from our path, that we still have the ability to push it away and do what we are called to do on this earth.
I totally agree. Mm-hmm. So, your podcast. Can you tell me a little bit more about it, and what is your vision of what is it that you wanted to become, like within the next 3 to 5 years?
Ooh, okay. So, the Zoetic Collective Podcast is my show, and as you can tell, I talk a lot about community and collective and being in safe and sacred spaces. So I curated the Zoetic Collective Podcast in light of a space that I created over on Instagram, the Zoetic Butterfly, which is really my sacred safe space for healing and talking about all of the raw things, just like we do here on your show. And so I created this space because I have always wanted to be a motivating person. I've always felt like I am a cheerful, motivating person. I was a cheerleader in high school. I was a social butterfly. I never turned my cheek from somebody who may have looked different or who did things differently. I've always been like a really open person when it comes to connecting and experiencing other people. So I created this safe space as a landing spot where we talk about things that people don't usually talk about on the normal, like your daily struggles or the things that you go through behind closed doors or all of the battles that you face in the silence and that nobody really sees on the surface. So I've cultivated these episodes where all of my listeners kind of have a break from their daily routine, their normal everyday thing, and we as a collective, we deep dive into all of the healing modalities, all of the things that we may be going through that nobody really understands. I have an episode that I called Love Thyself, and so I tap into all of the things that I do personally for my self-care routine. And as I always say, everything's an invitation. It's just something that's worked for me on my journey. So I put it out into the world in hope that it could help other people and inspire other people who may still be holding on to ego and they don't necessarily want to go to a therapist. They don't want to seek Western medicine for help. They'd rather turn to a real person who's experienced the same thing. And so the collective in the whole entire name is just an attempt to bring the community together, bring people together who maybe didn't even know they needed this landing spot. And my main goal is to cultivate wellness through self-care and sound. And that's what I do over on the Zoetic Collective Podcast.
That sounds like a podcast y'all need to be listening to. I know I will.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it.
Check it out.
So before we finish up everything, I ask everybody this who gets on my show.
Okay.
How are you feeling mentally?
Ooh, that's a good question. I also like to ask this question too. But today, being very open and honest, it's towards the end of the week, and I'm feeling a little tired. I'm feeling a little drained. I still have a little bit of energy left in me, but I'm always truthful and honest about how I'm feeling, because you have to be honest with yourself.
Agreed.
And I'm not always happy and cheerful all the time. I have my moments where I need to retreat and come back to self and tap into that inner child that we talked about earlier. So today I am feeling good. I'm feeling optimistic, but I'm also a little tired. And that's how I'm feeling.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. How are you feeling? Am I allowed to ask that?
You are. Okay. For me, right now, I'll say this. I'm hanging in there. I got a lot, I'm handling and dealing with on the back end of things. Mm-hmm. Honestly, the biggest thing is really just making sure my daughter's good, to be honest, every single week. And also, as well, having that time to be able to spend time with her and making sure, I'm being, active in her life, make sure I'm always staying in her life no matter what. Mm-hmm. And getting things off the ground, to be honest. The biggest thing is really getting my podcasts together, monetized, so it can be continually making money for me. And also just be able to get in, honestly, aside from that, is just keep myself grounded and staying positive, mm-hmm. and keep myself surrounded by other positive people who's not going to infiltrate or mess up my energy, honestly. So for the most part, that's how I'm feeling. So I appreciate you for asking me that.
Of course.
So before we leave today, I'll be doing this thing every single day called Unscripted Tips. So before we leave, I want to ask you, what will be your unscripted tip for today for the audience?
Okay. My unscripted tip for the audience today would be to protect your peace. Don't allow distractions or worries or the daily routine to distract you from your path. Stay on course. Ignore what doesn't align with you and your vision. Stay away from confusing, unaligned energy, and you'll be able to protect your peace. That's my tip.
I love it. Just protect your peace at all costs. Don't let nobody infiltrate your energy and make you feel bad or feel off.
Yeah.
I love that tip.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that on a t-shirt, just so y'all know. Okay then. So before we get off though, where can they find you at? Everyone get in contact with you? Like, what's your social media?
Okay.
How they get in contact with you?
You can find me on all social media platforms at Maiah McDan. That's MAIMCKDAN, and all streaming platforms. That's where you can find all of my music. I'm also on Instagram as The Zoetic Butterfly, TheZoetic Butterfly, BUTTERFLY, and that's where you can find the Zoetic Collective podcast as well.
All right. And for those listening, if you enjoyed this episode and y'all had a great time, if that's really touched your heart, make sure to leave a review. Those are much appreciated. And comment. And also as well, I'm watching the comments now. Like, I need y'all to leave reviews. If you don't, I'm going to find you. And I'm going to hunt you down and make you leave a review no matter what. I still love you, but I will find you if I need to. But if y'all really love this, though, and y'all had a great time, make sure to like and share this as well. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, too, as well, for my subscribers on YouTube. I love y'all so much. And y'all already know where to find me at, Growth Unscripted .podcast on Instagram, Growth Unscripted on TikTok. And, of course, if you are on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You already know where to find me regardless. All right? But, thank you so much for coming on to the show today.
Thank you.
You are amazing. And you have left some amazing advice and amazing just storytelling. I love it.
Thank you.
And without further ado, catch you on the next episode, and peace out.